Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey everybody, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm doing an episode by myself today just to check in with you to see how you are doing with the coronavirus pandemic and staying at home and keeping that social distancing going on for the rest of the month of April here as we record in 2020. This will be a year we will remember forever and will be a part of history. And we are living it. It's like a movie. It doesn't seem real. And I know I'm staying at home. I'm following the rules. I'm in Seattle, Washington. So we are till May 4th. We have our stay at home, stay healthy rule. But what I feel is my mission is to define what is healthy. You know, it's driving me nuts that they just tell people to stay at home and stay healthy, but no one really, I believe people don't understand or are aware of what healthy means. It is wonderful to see people out walking outside, and I've never seen so many people walk in my neighborhood, and I've never actually walked in my neighborhood really either 2-3 times a day. I usually run or bike, but now I'm outing and walking, and I'll talk about my routine later. But I really want people to understand how to, what I call self-care with the WHOLESTIC Method. The 8 elements of the WHOLESTIC Method that I created over the past 10 years is something we need to really prioritize right now and educate others and just share this information with your community, because being healthy, staying home, social distancing 6 feet, which I say 10 feet from other people, covering your mouth, wearing a face mask, not touching anything, and washing your hands long enough to get rid of those germs, and covering your face when you're around other people and not touching your face. All this is important, but there's another part of it. The WHOLESTIC Method is something I started working on in 2010 when I started in my fitness studio offering these 21-day sugar detox programs, and then it evolved to a little bit more than that, just nutrition, as I created this into a program and eventually a book that I'm now kind of rewriting into a self-care manual. But the 8 elements that we need to look at and discuss are the important ones, and there's many more. Nutrition is number 1, and these aren't in order. All these 8 elements all impact the other. So if one is neglected, something else is going to be impacted, right? So we've got nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress reduction, stress management, and then movement, which to me means mobility and getting outside, daylight sun exposure. And then I have digestion, which is gut health, and really what the focus is right now, educating people on immune system. So to work on improving your immunity, your resiliency, is working on that goes back to nutrition, what you're eating, how you're digesting the food, and how healthy is your gut, your microbiome. And you can go back and listen to amazing podcasts I've done with Kiran from Microbiome Labs. We just had another one out, and I just did one a few months ago and a couple last year that you should go back and listen to. Find it in the archives, Microbiome Labs, Kiran. And they have great webinars on YouTube that I've been trying to share. And then the other element is really important is hydration. I think a lot of people are drinking a lot of coffee and drinking a lot of alcohol at nighttime every night, and really forgetting about water because we're out of routine. And we'll talk about all these individually as well. And then really essential right now is happiness. And I will go into that, but gratitude, play, laughter, all that's so important. So all of these elements I put together in my book that's on Amazon. I'm going to redo the book. I'm not really doing it, but I'm adding, as I'm home another month, I'm working on researching and adding it. I was making a new book, and then I thought, well, I already wrote all this out 5 years ago. I published it on Amazon, the WHOLESTIC Method manual. Just look up Debbie Potts on Amazon. You'll find my Life is Not a Race book, and then the WHOLESTIC Method manual, and it has a workbook in it. And it's funny that all this stuff I was talking about and putting together over the last 10 years is really what everyone in the whole world should be working on now. It's not just walking outside. So I want to go into this a little bit more. I want to talk about what I'm doing myself, and I want to hear what you're doing. And I posted on my Facebook page, Low Carb Athlete. I started last summer. It's where I kind of post a lot of the research articles I'm finding as I write the self-care update in the manual, and on Instagram and LinkedIn. I can't handle doing Twitter as well, and I'm just trying to do LinkedIn more to reach that business corporate crowd of people that probably have a lot of chronic stress. So I'm trying to share this information, but pretty much Facebook Low Carb Athlete is where I'm kind of using as a pin board, as my own Pinterest type of thing, to post all these articles. So some days you can tell when I'm reading and researching or lying in bed on a Sunday morning before I go for a run, and I kind of put everything on there. So there's tons of information on that Low Carb Athlete page. So let's just kind of start from the beginning of the 8 elements of the WHOLESTIC Method. Nutrition. We talk about this topic every week. It's called the Low Carb Athlete. We know, you're listening already, that sugar, grains, gluten causes inflammation, causes blood sugar dysregulation, causes our body to burn carbohydrates and not fat as its main fuel source, causes increase in oxidative stress, mitochondria damage, having extra sugar and stress, toxins in our body. So really, but we've all been working on eating low carb, managing our hours fasting. 16-hour overnight fast is what I would love everyone to participate in, at least 12 hours, especially if you're just starting. Now, Dr. Walls, I just interviewed her the other day, even though the recording was horrible because everyone is on Wi-Fi. So her Wi-Fi signal was really low. But 24-hour or longer water fasts are not recommended right now when we have so many stressors in our world. And really focus on just nourishing your body and working on what you're eating right now, when you're eating, how you're eating it, and why. So what does that mean? So when is going to be that 16 hours and are not eating in that 16 hours. So we stop eating. I have my clients in my group coaching program, and I'll talk about next episode. I want to go into what is my 5-day wellness Jumpstart. It was a detox Jumpstart for years I've done with clients, but really it's about wellness, what we're looking at. So we'll try to do that on Friday. But right now, the intermittent fasting, 16 hours, is not that difficult to do, and it's a natural thing our bodies should be doing. We're not supposed to be eating, 3 meals, 3 snacks a day, and always grazing, and never giving our body time to digest our food completely in between meals. And Nina, who wrote The Big Fat Surprise, had a great Twitter email that I got that I retweeted. I don't do Twitter very often, like once a year, but I loved what she said. The reason so many people are struggling with the COVID-19 coronavirus is that their immune systems are not strong. They're not resilient. But as I'm talking today, my purpose is the why. Why aren't they resilient? It's not age. It's not just older people. It's younger people. It's all ages. It's because our nutrition guidelines, as she said in her tweet, Nina, I can't remember her last name, her book's somewhere here, but we were taught to eat this stupid food pyramid since, if you're in your 40s as I am, well, late 40s now, but eating this high carb, non-fat food pyramid that we're taught that fat is bad for us has led our country to eat poorly, and then the fast food and the canola oil, the vegetable oils, the corn and everything. A lot of this is partially related to, not to blame anyone, it's your own choice what you put in your mouth. It's your choice what food you buy at the grocery store. If you decide to go to McDonald's to eat your food every day, that's not even food. It's not real food. The goal is to eat real food. And if you were like me, we were raised in that era that we were scared of eating fat, and I ate pretty much all carbohydrates, and that was what I shared in my Life is Not a Race book. I was eating healthy, as I thought. I thought healthy meant everything's fat-free and non-fat or low-fat. And then I didn't really like animal meat, eating animals, so I did really just carbohydrates and really caused damage to my own body. But think fast forward to 2020, why are people so unhealthy? It's our lifestyle habits. So, sticking with our first element of the holistic method is nutrition. Eat real food. Eat real food. That is not convenient for people. People forgotten how to cook and make their own food. I see this McDonald's down a mile from my house on the corner has a lineup through the drive-thru every day when I go by. It's a great time for people when they're stuck at home. Get your essentials. You go to the grocery store and buy food. You can have food shipped. I get Butcher Box. We had it 3 times this month delivered to our house. We get the bone broth. I bought a big shipment of it a few months ago and stocked our freezer up with it from Bonafide Provisions. There are easy ways to have food that's quick and simple. That's real food. But what is healthy food might be still confusing to a lot of people out there. They still might believe of the food pyramid and that eating healthy fats are going to create inflammation in your body. But it's the opposite. Eating this high carb, fat-free diet, having these fake foods and processed vegetable oils, that's what's causing inflammation, as well as our pesticides, the glyphosate on foods. The meat that people get from factory farm animals is filled with bad bacteria. So the goal is to eat ideally grass-fed meat, organic vegetables, avoiding soil, damaged soil, and foods covered in these pesticides, the glyphosate that's related to so many diseases. And inflammation is starting from what we eat and the toxins in our environment. So if you listen to Kiran or read my blog post on these environmental triggers, come from the toxins in our environment, the food we eat, and other sources. So what we eat is super important right now. Not just going for a walk to be healthy. Start with what you are eating. So it's not the time to be, feeling on vacation, eating a bunch of crap, empty calories, food without any real nutrition. It's a time to be working on time-restricted feeding. So we talked about intermittent fasting, at least 12 hours to 16 hours overnight. So I started to talk about not eating 3 hours before bed. So if you're going to bed most people go to bed way too late, I think. But if you go to bed, I go to bed at 8. So I'm going to stop eating at 5 o'clock, Sunday to Thursday. Friday, Saturday are kind of my cyclical keto. Automatically, we have dinner Friday, Saturday night, and obviously it's at home now. And we make a little more foods that are little more carbohydrates in it, more vegetables. We had homemade pizza Neil made and Brussels sprouts with bacon. And so a little different food on the weekend that I have a little more carbohydrates than during the week is just more fat and protein, and getting my vegetables from my Athletic Greens, or Dr. Anna Kabeka. I bought her keto greens and her maca green, maca plus. So what ends up being your eating window is an 8-hour feeding window. So if you do the 16 hours, you break your fast in the morning or late morning when you are hungry. So we've talked tons about fasting, and it's kind of automatic. It's something I do unintentionally because I'm eating the right amount of macronutrients for my metabolic needs, for my body type. And if you look at your genetic DNA fit report, if you look at metabolic typing diet test quiz, you can do metabolicmtdiet.com. You can do that for a price, but you can find out if you're a slow or fast oxidizer or mixed oxidizer. I do not do well with carbohydrates. I speed through them, so I am better having a high protein and fat diet and low carb. That's me. I have a client that can eat a lot more carbohydrates, and I have some clients have been tested to be mixed carbohydrate, fat, protein eater. But it's eating vegetables as your carbohydrates, not eating the grains, the gluten-filled products. And so I am also type O blood type, and that shows that I need more protein as well. So it's interesting looking at your bioindividuality when you take all these different perspectives of what I should eat for my body, and also measuring your blood sugar and your ketones with Keto Mojo. And you can go back and listen to Dorian, the founder of Keto Mojo, did a great podcast webinar, and I put it on YouTube because he did video with slides. So eating during the weekdays, intermittent fasting, 16 hours, and then I have an 8-hour eating window. For me, I don't have children. It's just Neil, my husband, and I. And since we're at home, we have a new type of schedule. And I guess talk about my food schedule now since we're on nutrition part. I have my coffee in the morning and I'm drinking my herbal tea. Really focus, I'll add in, a lot of research is showing many benefits of green tea. So I've been doing this. Further Food, I bought a bunch of their bottles last year and I had on my shelf. I'm going to have a sip right now. Matcha green tea has adaptogens in it as well. And Further Food also has turmeric tonic. And I'll get the discount code for you because it's something we should all be taking each day because of all the benefits of it for immune boosting. I listened to a Facebook Live with Dr. Perlmutter yesterday, and he was also mentioning the benefits of reducing the inflammatory markers by having interleukin-6, by having turmeric each day. So, and also, that's just another episode too, to talk about all the supplements to take right now, but also omega-3 fish oils I take, and then the turmeric tonic and the green tea is really good to take. So I have that in the morning. I make my coffee, French press. Don't use your Keurig coffee maker. That is very moldy and crappy coffee anyways. So I use Kion coffee, or I like Blue Bottle. I get the bottle shipped each month. I use a French press, so I grind my coffee beans each morning. It's kind of how I wake up. I get out of bed, no alarm right now. We can talk about that on the sleep subject, but getting up, making the coffee, having a routine is how I kind of get started. I put the hot water kettle on, I boil my water, I grind the coffee beans, and I put my coffee in the thermos. I am, during the weekdays, this week, starting to add MCT oil, helps produce more ketones in my body, and trying to work on my brain focus, energy, brain power, because I'm working on podcasting every day, interviewing all these people while I'm at home, and writing, researching about immune system and how chronic stress impacts all of you. this immune system that we need to focus on right now is depressed, dampened, decreased function with chronic stress. So it's a really essential part of why I'm diving in deep this month into how chronic stress impacts your health. So I have my coffee, and then I kind of find breaking my fast. Well, you do break your fast if you have something else than coffee and tea, because I do put collagen in it. Today I did the collagen powder from Dr. Axe, and working on getting that collagen for my skin and joints and my gut health and my under eyes. My eyes are bugging me a lot. I'm trying anything to decrease these under eye wrinkles, sags that I'm getting, and it's driving me nuts. So collagen is my thing I'll do during the week, and then I added some MCT oil and a little bit of Kerrygold butter, put it in the blender, and then I have my fat coffee. So I'll have that until about 11, or when I start to feel any hunger. I will have some macadamia nuts or some nuts. And then I roasted some almonds yesterday with truffle sea salt on it and olive oil. So I might have that as my kind of mini meal, and have some sliced goat cheese with it. So I might have that mid-morning as a kind of a late breakfast, early lunch, if you call it. It's more of a mini meal snack. And then my meal, well, right now with my new schedule, I have I'll go back to that in the exercise part, but the lunch ends up being after we do our lunchtime walk, and then I'll eat usually my meal about 2 o'clock. And that's how I don't really need another meal after that. I would suggest, as I do my 5-day Jumpstart program, and this is similar to what we'll talk about Dr. Anna Kaveka about her Keto Green 16 program. It's the same type of mindset as my 5-day wellness program that I do every week myself, is having my green drinks, having bone broth at night, and you can add some MCT oil, some Kerrygold butter, get the ketones from the MCT oil, and have that in the evening. And then I have some herbal tea, decaf, not the green tea at night because that's too much caffeine. And my meal is lunchtime is just, we've been, doing the butcher box. So we have steak or we have grass-fed burger, and, fish would be good to have too. I find I don't really feel like salmon, but we have salmon and halibut in the freezer too we can make. And then just put some pesto or some butter, salt and pepper, some of the savory seasonings, and I'm good. Have some goat cheese or something like that. So that's kind of what I do for the main meal. It's crazy how that can fill you up. So I listen to my body if I want something like that, something else. Maybe that has some gluten-free crackers that I have, those Mulligan crackers. I have some of that if I want some crunchy, or I can make a chaffle that's egg and cheese. And my burger the other day, I did do avocado and a bacon, and one day I did, cooked 2 eggs and put those on top of my burger. So I mix it up, but mostly protein and fat and a little bit of carbohydrates. I'm not a strict carnivore. That's too much dieting to me. I don't have that mindset. I don't like to be feeling like I'm dieting. As I've said many times, I went through high school and college dieting too much, and so I'm kind of damaged for life. Anything that relates to a diet, I like to eat by listening to my body, see what it feels like, and eat sitting down, chewing my food, focus, not multitasking, and being able to activate my parasympathetic nervous system so I have proper digestion, and getting the foods that I can feel good about eating. I mean, that means feeling full, energized, satisfied for hours afterwards, which is how I can do intermittent fasting and not overeat. And that's what I do Sunday to Thursday. Friday we'll have a dinner. So it's just maybe I won't have lunch at 2 because we're going to eat dinner we're early birds, so 5, 6 o'clock. So intermittent fasting and time restricted eating is great. And I think adding the bone broth, I put a post on my Low Carb Athlete Facebook page the other day on how you can save money, Bonafide Provisions. They gave me a coupon code that you can use if you get a big order of $75 or more. So you could just stock up your freezer with that Bonafide bone broth, and add that in during your 8-hour window, as it will break your fast if you're fasting. Remember, anything breaks your fast unless it's coffee, herbal tea, water, and that coffee is black coffee. So technically, when I have collagen and MCT oil in my coffee, make it fat coffee, it is breaking my fast, or if I put heavy cream in there. So you have to know, you're not totally fasting if you add that in. So nutrition is key. That is what we want to work on right now. Eating at set times, so that's the when. Why you're eating when you're hungry, how you're eating, that's chewing your food 20, 30 times, sitting down, you're not driving your car now. So actually, I think, this whole month at home is beneficial for a lot of people to learn how to slow down. I know my husband looks leaner because he's not working at his office. He's at home, so he's eating and sitting more relaxed and having our meal together. And other clients said, they don't have M&Ms in their office that he can snack on. And so getting out of that office workplace could be a benefit. So as I said in another episode, is looking at the gift. What is the gift in this horrible pandemic? And that's being able to work on yourself, self-care. So that's why I think it's so important right now, and why I feel so passionate about sharing this information on social media and podcasting about self-care. This is the most important time to be working on yourself right now. And how you're eating is really important. Proper digestion. The parasympathetic nervous system is at rest and digest. So sitting, eating, chewing your food, and eating right food. So the what on the foods is eating foods that make you feel full. You're able to digest and break down those foods. So you're having, hopefully, you're taking some digestive enzymes. If you need some stomach acid, where usually chronic stress impacts your HCl levels. So you might need some stomach acid HCl betaine, and you might need some digestive enzymes, because that kind of gets lower too with stress and as we age. So we need some supplements to help our food digest. So for sure, digestive enzymes. I take something also to help my liver gallbladder process fats. So ox bile salts. Having this, I order a couple different things, but mainly from this company called Biotics that we order through nutritional therapy, or practitioners can get it, but they have a beta TCP or beta plus. It helps the fat metabolism. And I think these supplements are really essential for most everybody, because we need to be able to break our food down properly so we're not causing more stress in our gut. So being able to break down the foods properly, eating the foods that you're not sensitive to or reactive to, that you don't know unless you do the food sensitivity lab test, and making sure that food makes you feel good, doesn't raise your heart rate, doesn't raise your blood sugar up too high. And knowing what's good for you to eat is really important, so you're not causing additional stress. Additional stress to your gut contributes to inflammation, leaky gut, intestinal permeable gut wall lining. I've written a zillion blogs lately on how your gut health works, how immune system works, and how chronic stress impacts our gut biome, and the kind of we call leaky gut, that the gut wall lining, the mucosal barrier, gets damaged, so we're not able to absorb the nutrients that we break down. Hopefully, taking the enzymes, eating the right food. So I always go backwards. Start north. North is your brain. So to not have damage in your gut, go backwards. So start with how you eat, sitting down, being that parasympathetic nervous system, how you chew your food, getting the saliva and breaking down that food completely so you get that digestive enzyme process working. Breaking down your food properly in your stomach. It's a very acidic environment, and that's one of our first line of defenses, to not have toxins, pathogens come through our stomach. And if you have any H. pylori, as I still have, and I'm working on this protocol right now to get rid of H. pylori, but that increases your stomach acidity. So it clinically correlates to my main health complaints that I discovered with only lab testing. I've had this for a few years and I haven't been able to get rid of it. So being able to make sure you're able to break down your foods, as proteins need to digest completely into amino acids, which obviously have a zillion different roles, and that includes making your neurotransmitters in your gut. Serotonin's made in your gut, melatonin, there's a gut-brain connection. There's so much going on in your gut, your microbiome, and having that good balance of these healthy gut bacteria. And all of this is in my multiple series of blogs I wrote on debbiepots.net, but really working on being healthy so you can have good nutrient breakdown. And then, as I was getting to, I get on tangents all the time, obviously, but getting that absorption into the gut wall lining so we can get that nutrition from our food. So it's going back to what you eat and how you eat, when you eat and why. But if that mucosal barrier is damaged, the little villi and that mucosal lining is damaged and irritated, we're not absorbing those nutrients. And if you have gaps in between those villi, called leaky gut, and think of it like pinholes in a bucket, and food leaks out of that bucket because there's holes in there, maldigested food, undigested food, and toxins that are supposed to stay and get detoxified by the liver escape through the gut wall lining into the bloodstream. So once we get these foods that are maldigested into the rest of the body, well, then they become tagged as enemies, because the immune system, like, who are these foreigners coming into our body? We need to attack. So then we get this whole inflammatory cycle. So it's really important to work on nutrition right now, the how, when, why, when, and what you're eating. So that is 30 minutes podcast on just nutrition. And I didn't even get to that much. So what to avoid: inflammatory foods. Let's end with these. So inflammatory foods, of course, we all know about gluten, grains. And if they're not properly prepared, seeds, grains, you have to soak and rinse them, be able to break them down properly, or else they can be irritants to your gut wall lining. And we don't want that. Same with lectin, looking at different vegetables, the seeds of vegetables. If you look at the Plant Paradox book by Dr. Grundy, working on the right foods that don't irritate your gut. So we want to avoid those inflammatory foods, gluten, grains, processed foods, of course, refined sugars, but the vegetable oils, even canola oil. Reading your label is really important. Look at what you're eating. If you're not eating whole foods, if you're getting something from a package, don't just read the carb count, the fat and protein, but look at the serving size, look at the ingredients. And if there's a bunch of food in there that you don't even know what it is, it's non-food, you really want to avoid it, because that's going to contribute to inflammation. Inflammation, stress in your body, internal hidden stressors, causing a domino effect into all your body systems and creating havoc on your whole body, creating metabolic chaos, as we say as FDN practitioners. So we also want to avoid GMO in non-organic foods. We want to make sure the corn and the soy, especially GMO corn, soy, peanuts, are usually toxic food. They're high mold. What's the word? Drawing a blank. But the MCT oil's not working on my brain. So we want to avoid foods that have that high mold and more toxic foods, as peanuts. And the corn and the soy are really genetically modified, and they're in abundance. So we want to eat real food, nutrient dense, organic, grass-fed, wild fish, caught fish, and chicken, free range turkey, eating those wild meats. If you're a meat eater, then I'm not eating, the liver, head, nose to tail, which I'm not a big fan, but I understand the benefits of it, but I'm not going there. I'll take a capsule of it and not eat liver and onions, but those have huge micronutrient benefits to it. So you get your vitamins and minerals from the food you eat, but it's really hard to do unless you supplement. And if you can get good grass-fed organ meat, that's amazing. But if you're like me and freak out and gross out about eating organ meat, you're going to have to supplement with capsules. So I take many supplements right now. And one, I'm working on my immune system and keeping us healthy. Two, I'm working on my digestion and my microbiome. So I've got a lot of things I'm taking for that. And then three, I'm working on two-part gut healing protocol, rebuilding my gut. But I'm also working on, now that I know H. pylori from my lab testing I just redid, and my hormone test. I did Dutch Complete, a metabolic assessment test last fall, and I just got the gut biome test back from Microbiome Labs. And so I'm putting all this together, as I do with clients. As an FDN practitioner, we act as a health detective. And for myself, I'm going to do a podcast with the doctors from Dutch, to go over how to read my lab. I did a podcast with Dr. Ben Lynch that came out Monday and talk about your genetic SNPs that impact methylation cycle, your detoxification, your hormone detoxification, is your estrogens, and then looking at my other labs as my stool test. You can do a GI map or Vibrant Wellness. I shared on my blogs, Doing Vibrant Wellness has a gut zoomer, and they have a food sensitivity test and a leaky gut test you can do through there. You have to order through your practitioner, as myself, but there's a leaky gut test with their wheat zoomer that includes measuring your gut wall lining, mucosal barrier. And then the Dutch panel does some oxidative stress markers and some the B12, my glutathione was measured there as well, and also my hormones. And I'll talk about that with the Dutch podcast coming up. But all of this information I put together into a protocol for myself, and with my mentor, FDN, Brandon, has been helping me. But it's really making sure when you do lab tests, because I know other people say, oh, I've seen doctors and I got my labs back. But what everyone did for me is they treated those labs. So you get a lab back, say your hormone test, my Dutch Complete, and my estrogens are all really low. My DHA is really low. Testosterone's good. Must be that lifting weights I've been doing. My cortisols are all below level. And the circadian rhythm, different times of the day, but they're below level morning and afternoon. My melatonin's very low. But am I going to treat myself by treating those results and taking hormones? No. I'm going to correlate what are my main health concerns, or I don't like the word complaints, it sounds negative. What are my concerns? What's bothering me? And what would I like to get better? What are my goals? And I have different things I can share with you that are struggles for myself that I've been battling the last 8 years. But getting this new test back, my new stool test, to figure out hidden internal stressors. As you should know by now, I talk about this every show, but hormones, immune system, detoxification, digestion, energy system, and our nervous systems are all sources of internal stressors. If anything becomes chronic, external stressors can contribute or be internal stressors. So living life as a race for too many years created damage to my whole body systems. All these hidden stressors, as I just said, are a result of metabolic chaos coming from my way of life, my mindset, my genetic SNPs, my overtraining, my racing a lot years ago. Now it's been 8 years since I've been able to race, and really kind of gives me my purpose to help you not do what I did, and help you learn the tools to identify your red flags and your triggers, when to stop, pause, and reset, and get a individualized protocol to help you stay strong and resilient. So you can order the lab test through a practitioner as myself. I call it the Health Optimizer Package, or you can do a 90-day program where we go 6 months, 3 months to 6 month program is to really dive in deeper into people who have different symptoms as myself. So my H. pylori showed up again, and it's really makes sense and correlates with my symptoms. And my lab test, my protein digestion was a +2 on my Indican test. So I'm not breaking down my proteins. Well, you can't if you got H. pylori. It's not, your stomach organ's not acidic enough. You're not able to break down proteins, which correlates why I started throwing up. When I eat too much, a big meal, I get sick. If I eat heavy protein that I started doing a year ago after KetoCon, I started eating more red meat than I never had since I was 13 years old. And I throw up. If it's like Christmas Eve, Christmas dinner, I had my first time roast beef. I had to leave our friend's house because I got sick. So anyways, TMI, but that correlates to poor protein digestion and to H. pylori causing dysfunction or havoc, chaos in my stomach organs. So how am I supposed to have proper digestion, even if I take supplements, if these bugs are in the stomach organ, into the gut wall lining? They burrow in to the lining of my stomach, the organ. And then if you can't properly digest food from your stomach organ, well, the next phase, the food that you ate should be broken down properly, or starting to break down, and go into the small intestine for further breakdown and assimilation. Well, if you have issues breaking down your proteins in your stomach, and then your food, your fat and your carbs get more further breakdown in your small intestine, you're going to have issues, and that's going to contribute to leaky gut basically, and damaged gut wall lining. So I'm not able to break down my food, and then the foods that is there, it's not properly broken down. It's not going to digest and absorb the nutrients in my gut wall lining, because now that gut wall lining is damaged, is irritated. Think of this, long carpet rug gets to be Berber rug, shag rug becomes Berber rug, and then I have gaps in between the villi. So then you get foods and toxins, pathogens escaping through the gut wall lining. So then we get inflammation and leading to autoimmune issues. So that just kind of paint you a picture of even someone as myself that is doing all these healthy lifestyle habits, but I have these hidden internal stressors. So I might be doing yoga, I'm meditating, I'm walking 2-3 times a day outside right now, I'm running, but keeping my runs 30 to 45 minutes, maximum an hour on Sundays for my long run, quote, which is another topic we'll get into next time on exercise. But really working on reducing my external stressors, but I still can't heal and rebuild my body on the inside if you don't look under the hood and discover which engine parts, as if it's your car, they're not functioning at optimal level. If you're running at 50%, well, how are you going to get better overall? So if you're having issues with your digestion, starting, for example, as myself with H. pylori in my stomach organ, not being able to break down protein and break down my food, having probably leaky gut, damaged mucosal barrier, I'm not able to make serotonin as well. I'm not able to get melatonin. So then I have chronic internal stress, which will be, remember, your HPA axis is that stress communication system. So your hypothalamus pituitary gland to the adrenal gland communicates. And if that communication, anything that happens too often, too frequently, gets worn out, right? It's like the battery runs low, like on your smoke detector, and it starts beeping and until you change the batteries. Well, your HPA axis, is overworked. It'll be elevated. Cortisol levels could be elevated, but over time, if anything is chronic, gets to be nonstop, it's going to be not functioning at optimal level. The signals get weak. The hypothalamus isn't getting that message, or the communication to the pituitary gland to the adrenal glands get slower and the body doesn't function at optimal level. There's more to it. I'm just generalizing, but simplifying the process. But anyways, my cortisol is low. Melatonin is low. My DHA is low. My weight gain is a struggle. Well, weight gain, I'm not able to lose fat weight. It's really hard to lose weight. It's really hard to put on muscle. So you can see kind of all these different pieces of the puzzle that we can identify, the missing pieces of the puzzle to help put me, Humpty Dumpty, back together. And that's what we do as FDN practitioner, is look at all of these clues, collect data from your metabolic assessments, forms, nutritional therapy assessment. I use genetic profile using Dr. Lynch's strategy and report we'll start doing. It's a new one coming out next month that's 75 pages long. But we can identify imbalances, dysfunctions. And if you want to optimize your health on the inside and out, we need to start working on what we're eating, how we're eating, when, why, how. I said what. And work on that right now. Then we'll talk on Friday about exercise, and then the other 8 elements we'll go into. But nutrition is the big part. So not eating food that's going to contribute to your inflammation. So taking care of the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. You can find the book on Amazon. I have one here, and it's funny. I need to open it up because I'm going to start working on it now. But there's a chapter on each of these 8 elements. The book is 317 pages long. There's a chapter on nutrition that goes into all this stuff, and I wrote this in 2015, so I started before that. And glycemic index, fighting cancer, neurological, brain health, brain-related diseases, how do you become a fat burner? And then expert opinions from different people I've interviewed, Dr. McCullough's quotes, healthy fats, Maria Emmerich, Dr. Kate Shanahan. Element number 2, there's a whole chapter, many pages on exercise as a fun habit. I didn't write that. Someone else changed that. Fitness and health, using heart rate variability, training examples, moving throughout the day, metabolic efficiency, heart rate training, max aerobic function heart rate. And then it goes on. So I am going to start tackling this book and seeing what else I could add to it. But for now, I suggest finding this book on Amazon, going through it, and working on the last part. So if you go to the roadmap starting on page 208, it's a workbook. And you go through and you look at, where are your areas of opportunity? We want to measure where we need to spend time focusing in to move to be more world-class, peak performer, successful on the inside out. Then we can use a chart and make a graph, or we can, writing goals out. And I have clients write goals every Sunday. Write your goals for each week. Set your intentions for the next day. What do you want to have happen in the next 30 days? We're in April and we have this whole month we're staying at home. So there's some great information on the 8 forms of wealth exercise you can do. Working on reflecting, taking time to gratitude, reflect on the last few months and make goals for the rest of the year. As this year is different than we intended, right? It's going to be a new experience. Working on gratitude is huge right now. So all that's in the book, kind of writing out major area for improving area of opportunity, what you want to focus on, personal, business, spiritual, and health. And then it goes into what we can talk about next time. My phase 1 is a 5-day wellness program, kind of called it the Jumpstart Detox and Reset Challenge, which is fasting, kind of what I talked about today, doing light exercise, eating meals that are high protein, fat, and vegetables, avoiding all inflammatory foods. See, I talked about all this for years, so it's so funny. I have recipes in here, my basic ones, because I'm not a chef. I like, cook something up 5-10 minutes and you're done. Then I have accountability report and looking at, getting vegetable juices or making them yourself and working on happiness. And so that's kind of the workbook part. I'll modify a little bit, cut out some pages and just put them on my website because there's lots of information in there. And I'd love for you to start reading it and let me know what you think and setting up goals for yourself. And let's work on nutrition right now. We'll talk about exercise next episode because nutrition is a big one. And I think not doing longer than 16-hour fast right now is a good thing to do. We'll talk to Dr. Anna Becca about keto and alkalinity and how ketogenic diet works to support fat loss and other benefits, but being more cyclical, doing a little higher carbs, of good clean carbs on the weekends, not, crappy garbage, but maybe more starchy vegetables, sweet potatoes, cauliflower, rice, and things like that. But having, metabolic flexibility is key. And having your greens, having athletic greens, but working on hydrating, managing your stress right now, your inflammation, eliminating those food sensitivities, getting your sleep. Really important to get, 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Taking magnesium before bed if you need to. CBD before bed helps. Avoiding that blue light. Working on our toxic red flags, people in your life. You can probably eliminate them a little more now that you're at home. But toxic emotions, negative thoughts, and, gut pathogens are huge hidden stressors that you don't know about unless you run the GI map and organic acids test, the oats test I suggest doing, and the food sensitivity lab. So let me know if you want to know more. I'm doing free consultations right now to help people out and figure out a roadmap, and doing some coaching programs with people if you just want 30 days or you want 3-6 months, it's up to you. So let me know how I can help. I will do more exercise focused on Friday. Today was more nutrition, and I thought I'd get through the 8 elements holistic method, and we got to 1. So there's a lot to dive into. So please go outside when the sun comes up in the morning, and go outside in the afternoon towards the end of the day. Get out for a nice walk. Don't do any hard exercise right now. Don't try to do 10 miles running every day and excess cardio. That's chronic stress, will add to your excess cortisol and cause the HP axis to be more stress. We've got too much stress. Limit time watching the news. Turn the TV off at night. Go read a book. Do something different. Find routine. Get up in the morning, work out, fasted, shower, get ready for the day. I don't know why people are wearing pajamas and not showering in the morning. It's kind of weird. So get up, work out, have your water, have some coffee, have some green tea, have your turmeric tonic, walk, and have purpose and structure to your day. All right? Please let me know what you think, your thoughts, your suggestions. Reach out to me on the Low Carb Athlete Facebook page and Instagram. I love hearing from you. I feel like I'm talking to you rather than just talking to the microphone by myself. So I appreciate your interest in taking care of the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. So have an amazing day. Try to keep that positive vibes, positive energy, positive attitude, and it's contagious. So smile, laugh, and go call someone you haven't talked to for a while and do a FaceTime or Zoom video call with them. Okay, take care of you. See you on Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us to continue to grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.